Good afternoon, for the matter, and a big hello to everybody. Just going to switch the camera off, save on some bandwidth. Okay, it hung there for a second, a bit strange, but there we go. So why did we move to Spain, and why, where does the Brexit affect it? Well, the first thing I want to say on this is the Brexit had zero impact on this decision. I've been overseas for about 10 years, and the UK is probably near at the bottom of my list for somewhere to live. I mean, for somebody being British, I mean, I would say I'm more, not European, more global than anything else. But British born, but more global on viewpoints. So one of the things I would say about the UK is it's not the place I left. It's not a place I call home. I have family there, but beyond that, it's not the country that I grew up in. Well, I didn't grow up in it for a start. I spent most of my childhood overseas. My father was, well, he's now ex-forces. So I didn't really spend the same sort of time in the UK as other people do, because quite simply, I was in Germany, I was in Hong Kong, I was in many countries, but the UK wasn't there until 1989 when we settled in the UK long term. So from that point of view, my connection with the UK is sort of very limited. It's not as important as it is to some other people. But what I will say, though, is the Brexit is sort of reinforced why I wouldn't want to live in the UK. Not because of people personally, you know, on a mass place, but more a case of the way the tabloids have been creating strife between different groups. And then even today, I got somebody send me a message going, "Oh, you'll have to go back to the UK now the Brexit's happened." I have no idea what these people think. I mean, I've been overseas for a decade. It's not as if it's just happened, and I don't rely on the UK for much. I do use it for contract work now and again, but above that, not a lot else. I won't rely on it for a pension. I bet when I retire, it's probably around 72, 74 years old before I'd get anything. I'd begrudge paying into a system that I would never see anything out of. As simple as that. But then you get on to the main reasons we're in Spain. The connections between Spain and the Philippines are pretty strong, because obviously the country is named after the former king of Spain. There's also rights to be in Spain, where becoming a Spanish citizen only takes 2 years, but in the UK, for my wife and kids to become British, or well, my wife mainly, would take 5 years. These are major reasons of why Spain offers a better alternative. Then you get on to the fact that the kids are already multilingual. They already speak 4 languages. So they're already ahead of the game for many people when they look for their first job, because they're already multilingual. But we got the sun. We sit between a Salt Lake with a nature park and the beach, so it's a nice environment to bring the kids up in. We don't have too much crime in the area. There's a lot of stuff that basically have plus sides to it. Buying a house in La Mata, I could buy a house and pay it off in 2 years here in this town. In the UK, it would probably take me 2 years to get enough for a deposit, for a place that isn't really worth the money. In all honesty, it just isn't worth it. It's there's just many pros. I mean, if you take the work side of things out, there pretty much everything else is a plus side from the Spanish side. Yes, you got the immigration issues, but hey ho, I'm from a family that is mixed between Filipino and British anyway. I would say the UK is much harder to deal with. I do say that the UK delays people's passport applications, its processing and everything else on purpose. Where here in Spain, although it doesn't delay it, it does sometimes ask for a lot of requirements and makes the process difficult, but it's much easier to deal with and far, far cheaper. Ultimately, my wife and kids have got a better lifestyle here in Spain, and that will continue to develop. But from the fact that we're sitting in Europe also means we've got the whole of Europe on our doorstep. We can head towards Portugal in the van. We can head north over the mountains into France. We have the whole of Europe on our doorstep. Economic wise, Spain is still recovering and still in a recession, but hey ho, so is most of Europe, and the UK may choose to blame others for its downfall, but at the same time, I'm sure everything's going to get blamed on the EU on the upcoming months. My honest opinion, the UK has its own government. It has its own representation in Europe, or had it. It chose to just not do what they should have been doing, which is looking after the best interest of the United Kingdom in the UK and throughout Europe. And I don't think Brexit will fix that. I think there'll be business as usual. And the first 500 experts that they will need for this Brexit, I can guarantee they'll pull from the pool of people out of the EU Parliament. So it's jobs as usual on the old gravy train. And that's basically it. But do I begrudge the UK? No, I have no issue with the UK. I do think there is people sold the Brexit idea on the wrong things, and any positive aspect for the general population. It may have some benefits to corporations. It may have some benefits to trade in some form. But for the average person that voted to leave, they're probably going to find they're worse off, not better off. I've got no problem with people wanting to keep their identity. Here where we are on the matter, Valencia want to keep the language supported here, and it's used in certain classes. You've got general Spanish used on the main ones like mathematics, etc. But then you have English being used for art, Valencian used for sports. And the point is they keep some identity there. The big question in the UK is, where does it want to go? Because my problem with the UK is the lack of leadership. Beyond that, nothing. I don't, like I said, my connection to the UK is not negative or positive. I simply just see it as where I get contract work and where my parents and my daughter live. Beyond that, not a lot else. Not these days. Been overseas for 10 years, but beyond that, there's nothing for me to say in a negative way, because the UK is what it is. But do I think the UK should have stayed in Europe? I think the UK should have done more to make Europe work for itself. That simple as that. Anyway, thanks for watching.